Hi guys, it's Danielle and today I'm going to be sharing with you the worst books that I read in 2018. Dun dun dun! 2018 is almost over, which is really weird. I'm both like, what the fuck, where did the year go? But also like, holy fuck, this year just dragged. How does that even... I don't know. So 2018 was both a good and a bad reading year for me. I read a lot of books. Currently, I think I'm sitting at 68 books, which is probably the most that I've read in a year, like ever. So I'm trying to hit 70. Still got a couple of weeks before the year ends, so I'm planning on finishing at least 2 more books, hopefully even more, but as long as I finish 2 more books, I'll be happy. So yeah, 2018 has been a great reading year for me in terms of quantity, but not quality. I don't know if I've just been like a lot harsher on the books that I've been reading, but this year I really didn't read many amazing books. I will be talking about my favorites of the year in another video, but we're gonna talk about my least favorite books this year. So this isn't necessarily gonna be I hated every single book in this video. It's more these books just really weren't for me. I have about 9 to talk about. Most of them are just really disappointing, or I just didn't enjoy them very much. There's none that I absolutely hated, and there's one that I DNF'd. So I have talked about some of these books already in previous wrap-ups, but I figured I will talk about them again now for you guys. Yeah, without further ado, let's start talking about some of these books, shall we? The first book that I read this year that I did not enjoy was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I was quite excited for this book. It did sound super intriguing, and I was hoping I would enjoy it because one of my friends really enjoyed it, and I've seen a lot of people really love this book and I'm not one of them. I think if you like the Raven Boys or the Raven Cycle, you will really enjoy this book. It has the same kind of vibes as the Raven Boys. I think it's kind of magical realism-esque. It just felt like nothing happened in this book. I found it to be quite boring. Like, nothing really happened until like the last probably 50 pages of this book, and like it's called The Hazelwood, but they don't even get to the Hazelwood until like the last 50 pages. So like I couldn't connect with the characters. I didn't really enjoy the characters. The only thing that I kind of enjoyed about this book was the writing. Like, it was really beautifully written, but at the same time it felt kind of pretentious, if that makes sense. I don't know, I found it kind of like it was trying too hard to be pretty. I wasn't a fan of this one, unfortunately. I think there is a review on my blog. I'll link it below. Otherwise, if there's not... The next book that I am going to talk about is the last book that I actually read. So that's kind of disappointing. And it was The Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Tchok. I think that's how you pronounce it. If not, I apologize. This one wasn't even on my radar until I received it in the mail, unsolicited, from the publisher. Then I read the blurb and saw that it was about like 5 like female mercenaries that go around killing people, and I was like, I'm hella intrigued. So it was kind of at the back of my mind like for like a couple of months, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna read it. So I actually listened to this one on audio and didn't enjoy it. It was so disappointing. Again, kind of similar with The Hazelwood. It just felt like nothing was happening. Like, even when stuff was happening, I don't know if it was just the way it was written or even if it was the narrator of the audio. It just felt like there was nothing going on. Like, I was listening to it and I was like, I could not care less about anything that's happening right now. And I was also kind of confusing. Like, I felt like there was like a lot of stuff going on in this story that kind of wasn't really explained, or I just wasn't concentrating as well as I thought I was. But either way, I just didn't really enjoy this book. The next book that I read and did not enjoy this year, I don't own anymore. I had an ARC of it that I received from the publishers, and I ended up trading the ARC for something that I did enjoy. And that book was Scythe by Neal Shusterman. Don't hate me. I really thought I was gonna enjoy this one. Like, I feel like literally everybody that has read this book absolutely loves it. It's one of their favorite books. And don't get me wrong, the premise and the concept of this story was so cool and so unique and interesting, and I really loved like the world. But apart from that, the writing style, just, I didn't enjoy it really at all. I just kind of found it kind of bland. I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. I couldn't connect to the characters. They weren't interesting to me. I wasn't interested in them at all. Like, I couldn't care less about them. I was just really disappointed in this book overall. If I can't connect to the characters, then I'm usually not going to enjoy the rest of the story, because you need good characters to drive the story. So even if it's an amazing world and a unique concept, if I can't connect to the characters, I'm not going to enjoy the story. So that's what happened there. The next book that I read in 2018 that I didn't enjoy was Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. This is the third book in the To All the Boys I Loved Before series. Third and final book, I believe. I really hope she doesn't keep bringing out more books. This book was completely unnecessary. I did just recently talk about this book in my spring wrap up, and yeah, it was really disappointing. Like, literally nothing happened in this story. If you want to read the series, you could finish on the second book. This book was completely unnecessary. Didn't add anything to the series. It was just really unnecessary and boring and disappointing overall. So yeah. The next book that I read, again, I talked about recently in my spring reading wrap up, and it was Grim Lovelies by Megan Shepherd. I actually DNF'd this book, and I never DNF books. Apparently this year though, I've become more brutal and cutthroat when it comes to reading. I've barely given out 5-star ratings this year, whereas the last few years I've just given them out to every book. And I'm also DNFing books apparently now, so go me. It sounded really interesting and unique and like nothing I'd ever read before, but it just did not grip me at all. I got like 180 or so pages in. It was just really boring. Like, nothing happened again. It seems to be a common theme with all the books in this video. I don't know. I was like reading it and I thought, you know what? If I put this book down and never picked it up again, it would not even faze me. Like, I couldn't care less about the characters, and I don't care how it ends. I'm not interested at all. So, yep. The next book was actually a series that I read this year that had been on my TBR for a very long time, and I finally got around to reading it this year. And I love this author, so this one kind of hurt that I didn't enjoy it, but like, what can you do? I still love the author, but I just didn't love this series. And it was Legend by Marie Lu. I listened to the first book on audio and then just read physical copies of the other two books. I think if I read this series like 3 years ago, back when dystopian books were a huge thing, I would have really loved it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Like, the whole concept and the world was really cool and interesting, and I liked that part of it. But apart from that, it was hella insta-lovey, which sucked. I've found that a lot of the books that I've been reading this year have been full of insta-love, and I just can't stand it anymore. It was not something that really bothered me, but now it does. I don't know why all of these books have insta-love in them, and some of the insta-love is just ridiculous. I love the hate to love trope, but when it's insta-lovey, no. No, thank you. I did like the characters, but the romance just ruined it pretty much, and I just wasn't a huge fan of the book or any of the other books. The next book I also talked about in my spring reading wrap up, and it is More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. this book just didn't sit right with me, and I just couldn't get past the fact that the main character wanted to forget his sexuality. It just didn't feel right. I was not, yeah, just not a huge fan of this one, unfortunately. The next book that I read and didn't enjoy was Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. For some reason I went into this book thinking it was a YA thriller mystery. It's not, it's like a adult thriller. I found it predictable and I didn't enjoy the narrator. Some of the things that she would say or think were kind of problematic and would just kind of not sit right with me, and I was just like, and I wasn't a huge fan of the writing either in this one. It just wasn't great. Like, it was predictable. I guessed the killer before it was revealed. It was just meh. It was just a meh book. Meh. And the last book that I read in 2018 that I did not enjoy, What If It's Us by Becca Albertalli and Adam Silvera. Adam Silvera and I did not have a good reading relationship this year. I was really looking forward to this one. It was one of my most anticipated for the year because I've really enjoyed Becca Albertalli's books and had also enjoyed Adam Silvera's other books. Now I've only enjoyed 2 out of 4 of his books. It was a cute book, but I found both of the characters to be extremely annoying. One of them was really whiny and just really annoying, and the other one was just also annoying. And I found it kind of like stalker-ish. They have like a little meet cute and then they're kind of stalking each other afterwards, and it was just weird. I didn't really like it. But yeah, there are the books that I read in 2018 that I didn't enjoy. There are probably a lot more that I could have talked about, but I didn't want this video to be really, really long and me just saying the same kind of thing, like, this book was disappointing, I had really high hopes for this book and it let me down, this book was boring. Yeah, I didn't want it to be too repetitive, but these are the main ones that I read that I really didn't enjoy. Anyway, that is all for this video. Like I said, I will be doing a favourites of 2018 video, so stay tuned for that one. It's quite a short list, honestly. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do let me know in the comments what some of your least favourite books were of this year, and let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were. If you were kind of disappointed and agree with what I said, or if you actually really enjoyed them. You probably did, because there's some pretty popular books on here. Oops. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!